Great to have you all. I'm Lucy Huang, Program Director for Impact Ventures. And before we get started, we'll kind of give you a rundown on the agenda here. Here we go. All right, so we've got this, the next out. So the session will last about an hour 15 to hour 30 minutes. And, at the beginning, we'll hear a word from Charles Schwab, our workshop sponsor. And the bulk of this session, we've enlisted our partners from DFW Minority Supplier Development Council, as well as our partner Women's Business Council Southwest, to really give you a deep dive about the MWBE certification process. And then we'll open up the last 25 minutes for question and answers. And before we get started, let's just review some housekeeping items. So as I said, the session will last an hour to an hour 15 minutes to an hour 30 minutes. If you haven't done so already, we'd love to know who you are and the company that you represent. So if you can update your profile with your full name and company name. And just to minimize background noise, if you could remain muted when not speaking, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions for the last 25 minutes of this particular workshop. This is an interactive session, so if you could, at all possible, we understand, I know you're all eating lunch, it's okay. Please turn on your camera whenever possible. And we have a lot of content to go through, so if you could hold questions until the Q&A session and use the chat feature to ask questions. We'll be monitoring the chats and making sure that your questions are answered. And the certification process could be for some overwhelming, so there really is no such thing as a dumb question. If you're thinking it, someone else probably is as well. All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to invite Greer Christian from Charles Schwab, who's our workshop sponsor, to say a few words. Greer?
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Is really excited to be here to talk to you about just our partnership with Impact Ventures. So my name is Greer Christian. I am the Senior Manager for Community Development at our organization, and we are excited to help sponsor this workshop because we know how important it is for our businesses to become MBE and WBE certified. So thank you, Women's Business Council Southwest and the DFW Minority Business Diversity Supplier Council for allowing us to support this webinar on today. Charles Schwab Bank, we're new to DFW. We just moved our headquarters from San Francisco to Westlake. So we're just west of the Metroplex, and we're transitioning into the DFW market. So we're looking and partnering with organizations such as Impact Ventures to help really support our areas of focus, which is financial capability, small business development, and affordable housing. And our partnership with Impact Ventures, different chambers and CDFIs help us to support our goals around small business ecosystems by providing capital and capacity building and technical support, building support. So, we're just making sure that we're partnering with the organizations that support women-owned businesses and businesses owned by people of color. So we're really excited to be here. We're here as a support. And as we continue to guide our relationship with Impact Ventures, we're here at your beck and call. So thank you all.
Thanks, Greer. Lucy, we'll turn it back over to you. There you go.
Oops.
All right. Well, thank you, Greer, for the great welcome. And we're glad to have Charles Schwab as a partner, and really excited to have you guys in the ecosystem. You guys are located over in Westlake. I remember my days of traveling and commuting across the Metroplex to Fidelity. And so it's glad to see you guys in the market. And so I'm glad I don't have to make that trip anymore, but it's still awesome to see a partnership like this be able to happen to support not only our organization, but the folks on this call today that are looking to get certified and create more business opportunities. So thanks, Lucy, for kicking us off. I'm going to pass it back to you once I go through a quick introduction. So for those of you who are new to Impact Ventures, I want to quickly just do level of who we are. And we'll just ask that if you just hopped on, please mute your mic so that we can minimize the background noise. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so for those who don't know who Impact Ventures is, and so what we believe is that genius is evenly distributed across zip code. However, access and opportunity is not, is a strong belief that we guide our work with every day as we work with what we call underestimated entrepreneurs. And so through that, we're here to change inequities that are in our community through our mission to empower talented yet underestimated women and communities of color to build generational wealth. Particularly through inclusive entrepreneurship and integrated capital. And so we envision a world where access, opportunity, and prosperity is shared. The way we kind of work is really in three ways: ecosystem building, which are events such as this. We do networking events, panel speaking events. We do hackathons. So if you're interested in participating in one of our hackathons, we do those. Policy advocacy, we actually just joined the NCRC, which is a National Community Reinvestment Act Coalition, to push for policy change across access to capital. Narrative change and community summits that we'll be hosting this summer. Inclusive entrepreneurship. So if you don't know, we'll talk about this a little bit later. So we offer education and training programs and provide direct services directly to early and startup and small businesses led by women and communities of color. And then lastly, our last pillar is through integrated capital. We provide flexible debt and patient equity capital for women and BIPOC entrepreneurs. So those of you that are looking for flexible types of capital, whether it be debt or equity, we are in the process of building our integrated capital fund that I'll speak more about. And I'll point you guys to a document or a form that you guys can fill out to get into that pipeline. Our impact so far in 2020, we've been around since 2016, but we've really gotten ramped up in the last year with COVID. And so we've supported over 64 founders for a total of 44 companies. Collectively, they raised about 1.2 million now. This was 1.1. And created 49 jobs in the ecosystem, not only locally and regionally, but across the US as well. We have a pipeline of over 70 plus mentors, which I believe is more like 90 now. In our pipeline that help mentor our entrepreneurs through our programs, and they get access to over 1,100 hours of mentor training, staff office hours, and workshops. So if you don't know, right now, our spring program applications are currently open. As you can see, the two differences between the program tracks that we're offering. Right now, the application is open till April 1st. And so we'll point you to some resources before the end of this workshop today, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up on this. And also, we're excited to finally kick off our Dallas Inclusive Capital Fund, which again provides flexible debt, equity, and strategic grants to women and BIPOC-led businesses and organizations. We've also just announced, or will be announcing, you guys are the first publicly to hear this, that we've officially become a licensed Kiva Hub trustee. If you haven't heard of Kiva, it's an international crowd lending platform that provides zero interest rate loans to micro enterprises from 0 to 15K. And so we will be assisting clients interested in doing crowd lending through the platform. And so we're managing both DFW region as well as Tyler, Texas. So for additional information, you can click here or go to impactventures.co/programs to find out more about the programs I just mentioned briefly. And if you also want to learn about our upcoming events or workshops, you can visit that same website/events to learn more. So I'll turn it back over to Lucy to talk about our session for today. So we'll go ahead and do a quick transfer, and I'll let you share your screen.
Okay, can you see my screen, everybody? All right. So workshops like today's are part of our new monthly Pivot and Prosper learning series. And so every month, in partnership with our community and corporate partners, we host these workshops to unlock the tools and strategies that you need to not only survive, but we're really in a new normal. Nothing will ever be the same. It's actually an exciting time, and with new opportunities. So for upcoming workshops, so we have these every month. Go to impact-ventures.co/events. All right, so today, our partner organizations are going to share with you the details behind minority and women business enterprise certifications. And as a certified minority or women-owned business, you really have access to opportunities with diversity supplier organizations, or as well as with business corporations, as well as government entities. And they're really, we want to share with you just what those opportunities look like. So right now, 97% of Fortune 500 companies actually set percentage dollar goals on supplier diversity. And what that dollar goal typically looks like is for world-class procurement organizations, they typically want to commit 13% of their total spend towards diverse suppliers. And if you haven't heard of the $1 Billion Roundtable, there are 28 corporations that on an annual basis achieve over $1 billion in tier 1 MWBE spend. And that number is growing, and the dollars that each of them spend grow on an annual basis as well. And here are just some examples, right? You see some BDR companies here. For example, Wells Fargo, they spend $1.36 billion a year in 2018, and that constitutes about 11.7% of their total procurement spend. AT&T is they're one of the leaders out there, and they're at 18.3%. So this kind of gives you an idea. For example, Coca-Cola, $600 million, they are striving to reach at least 10%. They're only at 5% in 2018. So the opportunity is huge. Right. And the opportunity, yeah.
Yep. I'll go ahead and take this slide. So definitely, as Lucy mentioned, the opportunities right now, if you're not familiar with, the supplier diversity language and relationships and really the benefits that it offers, I know some of you all on this call are also technology-based startups as well. And so the unique value proposition for Impact Ventures is that we focus on high growth, kind of innovation industry focused companies as well as traditional small businesses. And so I know a lot of times most technology startups don't see themselves as contractors for corporations, or they don't see the need to get MWBE certification. But I can personally tell you, we have companies in our portfolio currently going through that process with corporations. And it's an extreme, really untapped opportunity for a lot of the technology startups. So if you're on this call and you are more of a high growth industry focused company, here's a look at the top 20 corporate venture capital companies right now. And so what that means is that these companies have an investment arm in which they're looking to make strategic investments into companies that might fit their industry or might complement their service. For example, one of the most known is probably Microsoft. That's actually Microsoft Ventures, M12. They produce a number of investment opportunities for companies because they want to help promote and integrate their technology and their services into more companies. And so if you get a chance, really look into corporate venture capital as another means to diversifying your funding stream, as well as your customer opportunities. Microsoft, I know personally, does co-marketing agreements or co-selling agreements. So they not only invest in your company, but they then co-sell your platform or your product or service to their partners. I don't think there's anyone out there that can deny the power and reach that Microsoft has in terms of their partners. So just imagine that. So I just wanted to quickly highlight that over the past really 5 years, the increase in not only deal size, but the investment size has increased in terms of the number of active CVC groups that are out there, as well as the number of deals and active investment size. So this is increasing now. I would love to see what the 2020, 2021 numbers look like with the pandemic. Most people thought that investment would slow down in the pandemic, but it's actually started to pick up and outperform year over year from previous years due to everyone being digital right now, which has created greater access to deals. People don't have to get on flights to go visit companies. They can just hop on a Zoom and learn more about different founders. So I wanted to highlight this as an option as well. And I'm happy to speak with anyone more in depth on this after our call. So go ahead, Lucy.
And all of this is beyond really just social responsibility. If you really look at it, there's a shift in economic power of BIPOC and women, and the supplier diversity. The companies want to make sure the makeup is reflective of the growing diversity of the company's customers, and not only that. They want to drive local economies and job growth, which then leads to more spending power. So this really is just all around something that a lot of companies are moving towards. So this all goes to why become certified, right? For the most part, to qualify as a diverse supplier with a company, you as a company need to meet ownership criteria and be certified as MWBE suppliers. And with us today, we have our partners that do MBE and We Bank certifications. And these are typically recognized as gold standards for corporations and government entities. And with that, I'd like to hand this off to Edwin Cruz, who's from the Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council, who can tell you more about MBE certifications. And Edwin, I'll go ahead and unshare so you can share your slides.
All right, thank you, Lucy. Do you see the, did it work? Yes, okay. Awesome. So yeah, thank you, Lucy. Good afternoon, morning, everyone. So my name is Edwin from the Dallas-Fort Worth Minority Supplier Development Council. Just wanted to, I'm not sure if any of you have ever applied for certification before. So with ours, it's not a overly complicated process. There are a lot of documents involved, but it's all for us for the purposes of verifying and doing our due diligence, make sure that every company that gets certified with us is an organic, bona fide minority business enterprise. So as some of you can imagine, there's a lot of some companies out there just try and open up a company and try to make it seem like it's minority owned. It might be a figure out situation in some occasions. I've reviewed a ton of those, especially last year. Where we received more applications than ever before. But the reason why we asked for so many documents to have as many supporting documents in order to show that the operation, management, and control of the company is in the hands of minority companies on a daily basis. So we've been around since 1973. So we're part of the NMSC network. We're a nonprofit, so we're the ones that handle the certification. We only focus on the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. So I'm sure all of you are headquartered here in DFW. If not, then you would have to apply with the council that covers your area. But for us, we only focus on DFW. So think of it like 1 to 2 hours driving radius of the DFW metro area. That's our jurisdiction. So our job is to be the link between corporate America and MBEs. So we certify, we develop, we advocate, we certify, advocate, develop, and connect you guys in order to get you guys to the next level, to try to expand your network and try to, get you to meet to people who you want to meet, especially those buyers and corporate people who are looking for more diverse suppliers. We do a lot of events, especially since COVID. We've done a lot of virtual events and workshops and resources that we disseminate to you guys in order just to get you guys and get your foot in the door and, whichever opportunity that applies to you. We try to give you as much information as possible so you can take advantage of what's out there, So one of the good things about our application is you're eligible to get 3 certifications for the price of 1 application. So our application, of course, is on our website, which I have at the end of the presentation. So with that application, once you go through the whole process, and it's about a 1 to 2 month process, you're eligible to get 3 certificates for the price of 1. Number 1, of course, is MBE certification, which is nationally recognized all across the country by corporate America. When it comes to the public sector, you may need to get some local certifications. It really boils down to who you want to do business with. But our MBE certificate, though we say it is nationally recognized by corporate America, so those Fortune 100, 500 corporations, they're the ones that we do this for. But it doesn't mean that it would be recognized by every single entity, by like the government side or the federal side, because there is no one size fits all certification. It doesn't exist. It really boils down to, like I said, what your company's capabilities are, the services, and who you want to do business with. So the MBE certificate, nationally recognized. The second one is called the SBE certificate, which is recognized primarily by the DFW airport. They're the reason why we started doing our SBE certification program, but it's also recognized by DART, City of Dallas, City of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, and Dallas County. So they're the local ones that recognize our SBE certificate. So to qualify, as long as your company qualifies as a small business, which means you got to be making under a certain amount of money. So basic rule of thumb, your company makes under $1 million, you qualify as a small business. Of course, it depends on your company's industry classification code. You have to make it under a certain amount of money or have under a certain amount of employees. But generally, most of our companies that apply, they qualify for the SBE. So provide you with the SBE. And the third one is called the HUB, which is State of Texas certification, which stands for Historically Underutilized Businesses. So it's not ours, it's a State of Texas certification, but we have an MOU with them. So if you qualify as both a small business and the company have Texas residency, do that. Then they'll update their information. Then they'll email you the hub as a benefit. So you get all 3 for the price of 1. And the fee is based upon the annual revenue of the company. So the lowest fee that we have is $270, and that's for all companies who make under $1 million, startups included. So companies under $1 million, startup, the fee is $270. If your company's sales is between 1 and 10 million, then it's $400, and then it goes up from there if your company makes more than that. As it states there, so the term minority can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But for us, it means Black, Hispanic, Asian, or Native American person. They have to be the ones that are running the company, operating and managing day-to-day on a real day-to-day basis. And of course, the supporting documents has to reflect that fact. That's why we ask for a lot of documents in order to get us the broad scope and as much information as possible to see who's actually running the show. So the Asian minority groups, the ethnic minority groups, they also have to be U.S. citizens or naturalized citizens. So if you're not naturalized yet, then you cannot apply. You have to wait until you become naturalized in order to apply for our certification. And of course, like it says, you got to be running at least 51%, but the ethnic minority individuals, you have to be the ones running the show, basically. So these are the countries that make up the ethnic groups. So we have a 25% bloodline rule, which basically means we got to be able to trace your ethnicity, your ethnic origin to at least a grandparent. So for example, say my dad is white from Kansas through and through, and my mom is, say, from Guatemala through and through, then that would make me 50% Hispanic, half Hispanic, so I would qualify. Native Americans are the only ones that rule doesn't apply to. They can be 1.5 Native American as long as they're able to provide a valid tribal card or a blood degree certificate, then they qualify. And so, like I said before, you have to be a U.S. citizen or naturalized. If it doesn't matter if you're a permanent resident, you can only be a U.S. citizen or naturalized citizen in order to apply with us. So you would have to wait until you become naturalized. So for us, and you got to prove your ethnicity. And I know it sounds very weird and strange to a lot of people having to prove it. Most of them have never had to do that. But for us, you got to prove your ethnicity, and we can't go by what you look like on an ID or a person or a call. You provide your birth certificate and or death certificate. So if you're born in the U.S., I need your long form birth certificate. Most people don't have it, so you have to request it from your state's vital records office. So on the long form, it has a lot of extra info, which should include the color and race of the parents. I say should because sometimes it doesn't, depending on where and when you were born. So in that case, if your long form doesn't identify your ethnicity, doesn't help us show your ethnicity, your ethnic origin, then you got to go back and provide one of your parents' birth and or death certificates. And if that doesn't work, then you got to go back to your grandparents and you got to provide one of their birth and or death certificates. And I apologize in advance. I know it is going to be a headache for a lot of people, but it's what you're going to need to provide in order to get certified with us. Because for us, some people can look like, minority, but they may not be. So that's why for us, we go through this extra step in order to have something legitimate to show your ethnicity. And even for naturalized citizens, we still ask for your birth certificate. You should have had to provide it anyways to get naturalized. So you just have to dig it up and provide us a copy. In certain cases, depending on where you're from or how long ago you were naturalized, maybe you don't have your birth certificate anymore, or maybe you never had to. So those are special case-by-case basis. So you got to email me to let me know the situation. But as a general rule of thumb, I ask for the birth certificate for all the ethnic minority owners of the company. So depending on your company's business structure, the legal business structure, you got to provide us certain documents, whether your company is an LLC or a corporation or partnership, sole proprietorship. We need certain documents. So basically, I do need all the documents with the Secretary of State, wherever that you filed it at. I need all of those. If you're a corporation, I need your bylaws. If you're an LLC, I need your operating agreement. If you're a partnership, I need your partnership agreement with the buyout rights and profit sharing. So these are very important documents. If you don't have these, you're gonna have to produce them. LegalZoom is a good site to use, and I have that at the end of the presentation. But these are certain documents to help us verify the rules and regulations of the company, what it can and can't do, especially when there are multiple owners in the company, and especially when there's non-minority owners involved. Then we need these documents to verify, to have on paper to see who does what data comes to voting or management or titles, responsibilities, stuff like that. These are very important documents to have. Certificates, stock certificate or share certificate if you're a corporation, membership if you're an LLC. So these are just documents that you got to provide in order to get certified to further show who has ownership in the company. Whether you're office based or home based, it doesn't matter. You just got to provide the proper documents. So if you're leasing an office or a home, provide that. Or if you're home based, then I just need your tax property or mortgage statement or the deed. I need resumes for all the owners of the company. Even if there are 10 owners, I need all of their resumes. Capabilities, if you have it, it's not applicable to everybody, but it's just something that states the company's core competency, what it's able to provide and produce or service. It's a good document to have, but it's not required. Financial, so we do require tax returns, whether you're a startup or been in business for 1, 2, 3, 15 years. I need complete copies of the tax returns for the past 2 years. So a lot of companies that apply, they're a startup, but I still need complete copies of your tax returns, personal taxes for all the owners of the company. That means all pages and all schedules. Some people send me just the first 2. I need to see everything. Just to see where the money is coming from and if you have the adequate, income to operate the company. And of course, sometimes the tax returns, there are certain schedules that I look for, which I can't go into further detail, but as a general rule, we ask for complete copies of all tax returns. Again, apologize in advance for inconvenience. I know it is confidential, sensitive information, but everything that we review is only for the purpose of certification. We make everyone provide tax returns, no matter how long they've been in business. A startup, or 10 years, 20 years, 100,000 in revenue, 10 billion in revenue. Our MBEs, we have almost 1,000 MBEs that we service, that we certify every year. And they range from, like I said, 100K to the billions. So we make everyone that applies go through the same process because like Lucy said, we're one of the gold standards when it comes to certification. So we got to make sure that everyone that applies to us provides the same documents, provides the proper documents that we ask for certification. We need financial statements, balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flows. hopefully you guys have QuickBooks or maybe a CPA or accountant to help you, but we generally ask for all three of these. Unless you're a startup, then I'm going to need you to provide a balance sheet, an up-to-date balance sheet showing the assets. We need your bank signature card, which is not an actual credit card, it's a form that identifies who has signature authority on the account for us to see who controls, who can touch the business account of the company. So just to go through the whole process. So like I said before, it's about 1 to 2 months to get certified with us. So we did a tally in 2019 and 2020. So on average, last year in 2019, it took, I want to say 19.5 business days. Yeah, 19.5 around their business days, which is pretty much 4 full weeks, which is pretty much a month. It took, on average, it's taken to get certified. But that's upon submission of a complete file. And that's the keyword complete, which means after you submit and pay your application, I need all the documents. For it to be complete, it means all the documents have to be in there, all the questions, inquiries documented. Because I'll be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, people don't submit a complete file. It's just the nature of the beast. So, definitely don't feel worried if I send you another request of like 5 or 10 bullet points of documents or questions. Even if it's questions, I still need you to answer them in writing. But basically, nobody ever submits a complete file, so don't feel bad. Most people have to resubmit it once or twice. By resubmission, I don't mean doing everything all over. I just mean providing the additional stuff that I asked for. So once you upload everything that I need, once it's complete, then that's when the real timeline is of 1 to 2 months. So after you have a complete file, then it gets reviewed by our committee, which is made up of volunteers from our corporate membership. So basically, they double check my work, make sure everything is there. They double check it for compliance, and then they make their notes. They review my files only once a month on the second Thursday. So some of you may be able to make it for next month's CERT committee meeting. So they review my files, they make the notes. If they feel I need anything extra, I'll let you know. If not, then move on to the virtual site visit, which is done via Zoom basically. And it will be scheduled, it won't be a surprise. It will schedule it with the owner of the company or the owners, the minority owners. Usually takes about a half hour on average. They'll ask you a couple questions, nothing you got to prepare for, just stuff that you as the owner should already know. So they ask you a whole broad questions just to see what you do day to day, and just to get a feeling of who's actually running the company and what you do day to day. And then they vote yes or no. They make a recommendation that I give to the board of directors. They vote yay or nay based on everything. They vote yes, and you're approved. And then you just got to attend an orientation in order to get your certificates. So we do deny companies every now and then. In my experience, the ones that we deny are companies that are where there's a non-minority owner involved, or non-minority, white people. And we feel that after everything that maybe they're too reliant on the non-minority, or maybe it is the non-minority that's actually running things. So of course, some of them are called 5149s. So 51 is a minimum requirement to apply. Of course, we question why is it 5149 and who's doing what? Because it can't be 50-50, because then it's not a minority-owned company. Minority-owned company means minority-owned, which means Asians, Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans have to be the ones running the show. There should be no gray area. And it has to be supported by the legal documents that you provide. So you got to make sure your paperwork is in order. So everything that you upload that I ask for, make sure that you read it page by page, just to see what I'm going to see. And because I've been doing this for almost 10 years, actually. Yeah, it's been a while. So I've been doing certification for a long time. So I know what to look for, and I'm able to trace the lines, because a lot of times people don't give me the whole picture, but then after looking at everything, then I start to get a clear picture. And then I ask questions. Why is it this way? Why did you do things this way? And so all of that is just to say that, I've seen pretty much all when it comes to certification, a lot of people don't think that I read what they provide, but I do. So that's why some companies get denied, and some companies, get approved. Especially if it's just one owner, then it's just a matter of paperwork. It's just a matter of you getting everything together. When there's multiple people involved, especially non-minorities, then we look at those a little bit more closely, because we got to verify why is it structured the way it is, and if it's actual minority-owned company. So This is our website where you go to get it to our online application, dfwmstc.com. And I don't think this website exists anymore, SME Toolkit. I don't think I've updated this in a while, this particular one. So LegalZoom is another good one to use if you guys need help with legal documents. If your company isn't even legally organized yet, you got to do that, of course. But you can Google that. And I do a pre-certification workshop every Tuesday from 1 to 2 o'clock. Basically is this, but I go a little bit more in depth, and I go over the application itself, section by section. So some of you, if you want to tune in tomorrow, or it's every Tuesday from 1 to 2 o'clock, you just go to our website to register for it. And I go over, this a bit more in depth, but I do go over the application again, the application in detail, along with the documents involved. Yeah, I guess probably just want to finish by saying all of this. You get your minority certifications. It is a yearly thing. I forgot to mention that is a yearly thing. You got to renew every year. But just seeing the application, you just have to update it, make any changes if there's any changes that you need to make that have changed, and provide the taxes and the payment, which is the same fee structure. And then you recertify, and then I'll look it over, and then usually I get it done within 5 days to get you renewed. But once you have certifications, the best advice I can give you is it's a tool like anything else. Don't expect anything. Nothing is guaranteed. You want to come correct when you want to do business with the big guys. So this certification can go a long way in getting your foot in the door at the very least. Certified, then it may be a little harder unless you know somebody or you're really good at what you do. But these certifications, they're a tool like anything else. If you just hang them on the wall and you don't do anything with them, you can't expect to get a return on your investment. You buy a gym membership, you don't go to the gym, you're not going to see any changes in your body. So you got to utilize it. You got to make it work for you. You got to be active. We have a ton of workshops, webinars every month, pretty much every week, to be honest. I can't even keep up with all the stuff that we do, but it's all on our website though. I'm not the marketing guy, so I don't have to worry about that. But our website is pretty up to date, so feel free to check it out of all of our events. And yeah, once you get certified, we have committees, we have industry groups for you to be part of that you can take part in, and in order to let us know how we can better service you as a certified MBE. Because we don't want you to just be another company in the database. We want you to be successful and do something, not just just renew every year, expecting to get something. You got to put in some work, So yeah, so that's it. Hopefully it was useful, and I'll put my email and website in the chat box. Yeah, thank you, Lucy.
All right. Thank you, Edwin. That was really, really great information. So, and I think Benjamin put their website link on the chat if you guys want to grab that. And next we have Taylor Crosby from Women's Business Council Southwest to talk to us about their process for certification.
All right. Hi. Thanks, Lucy. Thanks, Ben, so much for having us here today. Yeah, I'll just kind of say ditto to everything Edwin said, but here, not really. Let me pull up my presentation here. But we do have very similar processes. Okay. So here we go. I think y'all can see that, right? Okay. Good to go. All right. Yeah. So as Lucy mentioned, my name is Taylor Crosby. I'm the Director of Marketing for the Women's Business Council Southwest. And we certify 51% women-owned, operated, and controlled businesses. We are headquartered here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Irving, still all currently working from home right now. But our website's there and we are still available. I also we did a webinar back in January with the Minority Council, and we just kind of put up some of these big acronyms because I know that whenever we're talking about certification, we shorten a lot of the words. So I know this will be kind of helpful, and Edwin's kind of talked a little bit about some of these things, but and you'll commonly see, so there's MBE, Minority Business Enterprise Certification, and WBE, Women's Business Enterprise. And a lot of times for corporations, it's shortened to just MWBE, which comprises both of those. There's also DBE, which is Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, Hub, which Edwin talked a little bit about. Another one that we do, I'll talk about a little bit about this too, is WOSB, Women-Owned Small Business, SBE, Small Business Enterprise, and then here are the acronyms too for the 3 big certifying agencies in the North Texas area here in Dallas-Fort Worth specifically. So a little bit about us. We exist, we're a nonprofit, and we are here to increase the value of women-owned businesses and positively impact the community through inclusive and prosperous partnerships for all. We were founded in 1995. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary last year. And our Southwest region covers North and Central Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and New Mexico. And so our main office is in Irving, and then we have a satellite office as well in Austin. In this region alone, we have about 80 of our sustaining corporate members and about 1,200 women-owned businesses. And about 70 or 75% of those of our women-owned businesses are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Like the Minority Council here in Dallas, we have a larger national organization called WeBank, and that stands for Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And they set the national standards. So no matter where you are headquartered in the United States, you are receiving the same national certification that can be used nationwide. So who you're certified with, there are 14, we're one of 14 regional partners, and we've all divided up the country. But who you're certified with, your regional partner organization, just depends on where your business is headquartered. So like the Minority Council, you can actually get several certifications through us. The main one being that WBE certification through WeBank. So you do have to apply for that one at least, and then the other ones are kind of added on bonus certifications for the same cost. So, and it all depends on who you want to do business with. So if you're looking to do business with the state of Texas, you can get Hub certification, and we automatically screen all of our applicants who are based in Texas for that. And then there is WOSB, which is Women-Owned Small Business, and this is if you want to do business with the federal government. And then the last one we do is SBE, Small Business Enterprise, and we do this for Dallas County. So a little bit about our members. As I mentioned, we have 1,200 members in our region, and about 761 of those have been in business for 10 or more years. And together they employ over 50,000 people, which is a really huge economic impact for our area. And I think last year we had 12.4 billion in the total gross revenue of all of our WBEs. But here too, I included, these are some stats that we share in our annual report. You can kind of see the membership breakdown by different revenue. And then also some of our most represented industries. Our biggest industry is actually construction, architecture, and engineering, followed closely by advertising and marketing, consulting, IT services, and manufacturing. So, but really we have a wide range, and there is no revenue requirement to get certified. You can be a startup. I know we're working with one woman in our mentor program right now, and she has just created the business, but she's not planning on launching it till November, but she's getting her certification now. So you can, just started the business or been in business for 10 years and you can get certified. So as I mentioned, we have over 80 corporate members that are really actively involved here locally. So a lot of these big companies, especially those headquartered here in the DFW area, you'll see they serve on our board, they're at our events. Right now, for example, Toyota is very involved. Our board chairman is from Toyota. So these are the people that you will see at our events. I'll talk more about all of our events that we do, but just really great opportunities. We have supplier diversity professionals from these companies, and they are, actively looking. That's their job, to look for MWBEs to do business with. And a lot of times, even if you feel like you're maybe not big enough, or don't have the capacity to do business with a Fortune 500 company, there's additional opportunities there to do business down in tier 2 in the supply chain. So a lot of times there are opportunities there. Even if you meet the representatives from these corporations, they can help to connect you with some of those tier 2 opportunities as well. And this was just, we had 11 billion. We always ask all of our members how much money every year they spend with WBEs. And so this was from 2019, so 2020, over 11 billion was spent, which this isn't even complete. We have some members who just don't collect the data and don't report it to us. So there's really even more business out there than this shows. So a little bit about the certification criteria. You have to be 51% owned, operated, and controlled by a woman or women. So the female ownerships and control has to be clearly evidenced in the company's governing documents that you turn into us. The female owner's experience and expertise needs to be integral to the company's viability. She needs to hold the highest officer position in the company, and actively involved in the day-to-day operation and management of the company. So we say, you can't just sign over 51% ownership to a woman. They need to be actively involved. It's not just ownership, it's operation and control of the company are very important. And they can either be a US citizen or a permanent legal resident for our certification. So a little bit about the certification process. It's a completely online process, and it's all done through a website called webanklink.org. And I can put some of these website links in the chat after this too. But basically you can start the application there, and you scan and upload all of the required documentations. And really it's almost all the documentations that Edwin mentioned. I don't want to get into all of that, but it's basically all the same. Everything that he went over as far as your governing documents, your tax records, proof of either a government issued ID, all that stuff. It's very, very similar. So we do a lot of these webinars together, and we always kind of say, if you are a woman of color, and it's a great opportunity for you to get both WBE and MBE certification. And it's really beneficial to do both applications at the same time, because they're asking for the same information. So you don't have to do one and then 6 months later go and find all the same documentation. Just save you some time there. So we do the same kind of process. We have a certification review committee made up of a lot of our corporate members and some WBEs as well. And all the applications are reviewed by them. I believe ours is the second Wednesday of every month that those go to the committee. And then we do site visits on 100% of our applicants. Those are all over Zoom right now. And then after you get that first one, it's normally every 3 years after that. But that is, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have a formal office, especially right now. But we get this question before the pandemic. You could have a home office and we would just go and visit you there. And it's kind of like a little interview just to learn a little bit more about your business and verify everything. So we average a little bit less than 50 days from the time that you submit a completed application, which that's the key, as Edwin kind of talked about too. So it has to be completed. I think we tell people about, it can take up to 60 days, but we average somewhere around 45 days from the time you submit to getting your certification. The processing fee, I have a slide more about this too, but it starts at $350 per year. if you have less than $1 million in annual revenue, and then it's just kind of a sliding scale based on that. So we do the same recertification process every year, but it's not as in-depth since you've already submitted a lot of those documents. It's basically if there are any changes to how the business is run, then you submit those at that time. It's the same kind of annual fee here. So a lot of this is, I mean, you get your certification and then what? It's not just going to automatically bring a lot of business in. It's just an extra marketing tool for your company and an extra way to get in front of corporations. So how you can kind of make the most out of this certification. So once you are certified, you're listed in our member database. And this is, we have a member center section of our website. You have to log in and we update the member directory there every month. And so that's accessible to all of our corporate and WBE members. And it's a file that they can search by different industry or keywords. So there's a lot of business done, even just WBE to WBE. We have some businesses I know of that's all they do. They're not even interested in working with corporations. Their target market is other women-owned businesses. So, you know, we'll have our women-owned businesses need business cards. They'll go to the directory and just search for business cards. They need janitorial services for their offices. They can search there. So there's a lot of that that's done. We also have different volunteer opportunities. Not quite as many right now because we aren't having our in-person events, but we do still have some opportunities there, which is just a great way to get involved. Certainly attending our events, and we have so many events right now, especially while we are virtual, and I'll talk a little bit about this on the next slide as well. And then we also have our Lily Knox Investment Award. So this is a up to $20,000 grant that you can apply for as a certified WBE. And we give this away every year, normally multiple of them. So it's a completely member funded fund of money. So it just kind of depends on how much money we get every year. But last year in 2020, we gave away 3 different Lily Knox awards totaling $32,000 between all 3. And these are, you can just apply. It's really simple. It's just where you just ask for money in order to grow your business in some way. So like a few years ago, we had one of our WBEs, Fireman's Paving. They asked for money to do a striping machine for the roads. So they do that striping. So that's what they bought. So it's things like that you can just free money for your business, which is really great. We also have a lot of different educational opportunities. Those are through a lot of our events that I'll talk more about. And use of the WeBank Women-Owned logo. So especially for product-based businesses, I'll go a little bit into this too. Through our national organization, they created a women-owned logo. So you'll see like Van's Kitchen is one of our women-owned companies here based in DFW. And if you see right there on the bottom of their packaging is the women-owned logo. So I bet you'll probably start to see this some in your grocery stores and at Target. You will start to see it everywhere, but this is just something that, you know, the idea is if a consumer is trying to decide between a few products, they might see this logo and say, hey, I want to buy women-owned. So that's an extra opportunity for you. You also, for more service-based businesses, you get access to this certified WeBank logo. So I took this from one of our WBEs, Laguna Media, on her website. She has a spot there where she has all of her certification logos. So that's another way that you can market that you have the certification. We also have, there are a lot of different opportunities for recognition and awards at our events. We will end up having our gala again next February. And so that's a great opportunity, our big awards event. as I mentioned, you can use the certification logos in your marketing materials. Some people have them on their business cards in addition to their websites and email signatures. And then once you're certified as well, a lot of our big corporations ask for you to register in their supplier diversity portals. And there is a way to upload your certification there so that they know and you are in their database when they're searching for suppliers. So a little bit about our events and programming here. We have, so some of our major events we have coming up in April, April 20th and 21st. I'll put some more information in the chat about this, but we have our Connections to Contracts event. And that's our annual procurement event, which is a really good opportunity to connect with our corporate members. During the 2-day event, they will be hosting corporate roundtables, and we'll publish the list of all the corporations who are hosting those. And so you'll be able to sign up for the sessions, and you will be put in a virtual chat room this year with those representatives from that country or company. And so I think there are about 6 or 8 people in each virtual session. And so that's really a great time to connect with them. We also have our Harvesting Partnerships event in the fall. And that normally consists of education, more WBE to WBE. So we'll ask our WBE members who are subject matter experts on certain topics, everything from marketing and social media to HR. They host their own little roundtables. So, you know, if you're a business owner and wanting to learn more about public relations, we'll have someone on that, and you can sit down and talk to them and learn a little bit about different topics. Our Table Topics event is actually a monthly kind of lunch and learn event. We had one yesterday, and we are currently actually having 2 per month right now while we're virtual. So we have these on a variety of topics relevant for small businesses, everything from, again, HR to marketing. So those are really good events, especially right now while we're virtual. I would encourage you to attend one and just kind of see what they're about. And they have virtual networking as well. We do Zoom breakout rooms for those. We also have some other Austin events specifically targeted to Austin. We have Austin Insights, where we normally bring in a kind of C-level speaker to talk on an interesting topic. We also have our Next Gen programming, which is targeted to the 45 and under women entrepreneur group. We also have our Women-Owned Wednesday series, and that's a monthly virtual event as well, featuring a women business owner talking about different topics there. I also wanted to mention we have a Women of Color Outreach Committee that was started by some of our members about 8 years ago, I believe. And so right now we've been doing spring and fall virtual business mixers for that initiative. And we also last year started a Women of Color mentor program around that. So we just started our 3rd cohort for our mentor program. And that's designed as a way to help our mentees walk through the certification process. We match up mentees with either a corporate or WBE member of ours, and they just kind of help walk them through the process there. And then we also do a lot of different regional and industry specific happy hours. We just had one a few weeks ago on marketing and advertising. And then I think in the fall we did one on construction. So those are really neat as well, just kind of open networking and really easy to go to right now because everything's virtual. So, all right, so there is my email address. I also put it in the chat. And then if you have really specific questions around the way your business was structured, anything related to how you might fill out the certification application, you are welcome as well to reach out to Anita Steele, who is our Director of Certification. You can also email it to me, but I don't know all of the very specific answers for certification. So I normally forward it to Anita, but either one is fine. And then there are our social media handles as well. We'd love to have you follow us and attend some of our events. We'd love to see you.